Well, good morning or good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you're at. I know we have people joining us from all across the country. Looks like we still have some people coming into the lobby and signing in. So we'll just wait 1 second until the counter stops counting up. My name is Mack Rasmussen. I'm going to be your host today on this webinar with doing more with SOLIDWORKS PDM. So let's go ahead and jump in. Looks like most everybody is signed in. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at our high-level topics. These are the big topics. We're going to start with the good stuff. We're going to start with SOLIDWORKS PDM tips and tricks. These are just some things that we have learned over the years. Customers do a lot. Or things that we see at customer sites when we're kind of out with you shoulder to shoulder on site, or whether we're doing a Zoom meeting to help you with questions and work that you're doing. Then we're going to take a look at something kind of cool and unique to GoEngineering. That's Go Express, and we'll talk about some of the stuff that comes with that. And then another very unique thing to Go, which is Managed Administrative Services. Really excited about that. And then at the end of the presentation, we're going to take a sneak peek at SOLIDWORKS Manage and just a real high-level overview of what it can do for you and what it offers that's over and above what you get with PDM Professional. So let's kind of jump in. We'll start here with SOLIDWORKS PDM tips and tricks, okay? So first thing, we're going to start with the basics. A lot of you listening in, if you're already using PDM, whether it's standard or pro, you might know this, but the reason I wanted to touch on this in the webinar is so often when we are out on site working with customers, or we are doing a web meeting and helping you, this is what we see people doing, right? So, you're using PDM and you're inserting a component, and one of the beautiful things about SOLIDWORKS PDM is one of the main ways we interface with the Vault is what you're seeing, Windows Explorer, and we're all used to it. We all use it, but unfortunately, people kind of get comfortable with that, and they go through this workflow where they're just whapping through folders up and down, looking for the part they're trying to insert. And oh yeah, they remember, yep, oh yeah, it's this folder. And yeah, I think it's this, yep, that widget, nope, not that one, maybe, how about this one? Is this, yeah, that's the one I want. And then they go ahead and put it in. Okay. So that's something that we see all the time, and there's nothing wrong with it, but there is a better way. So let's take a look at a more streamlined approach of doing the exact same task. So let's pop back over to SOLIDWORKS, same assembly, okay? But let's start a search right inside of SOLIDWORKS. Let's not have to go to another window or anything like that. So I go over to my little PDM admin. And one of the things I hear from customers all the time is, well, I don't know the part number. That's okay. Just type what you know. So I know the part number. I know it's going to have the word just, cap in the description. Find the part I'm looking for. And here's the best part. Right from the search results, just drag and drop it right into your assembly. Okay. So that is definitely a better way for streamlining your day-to-day work. It'll prevent you from a lot of frustration of whapping up and down through folders, hunting and pecking for the part or subassembly that you're looking for at the time. By the way, I should have mentioned this in the housekeeping at the very beginning. This is a webinar, and so all of you that are watching and attending, even if you have a functioning headset, like most of us do in this age of COVID, we're not going to be able to hear you. You're all muted by default. But we do encourage you to ask questions. So you'll notice in your webinar interface, there's a questions area. And I've got one of my coworkers online with me to help me field questions. Don't feel like you have to wait for the end of the presentation to ask your questions. So as I go through topics and we're going through things, feel free to type questions in the webinar interface, and we'll do our best to answer them right away. Okay, so that was search. So remember, start a search right in the context of your CAD session. You don't have to open up a separate window or minimize SOLIDWORKS or anything like that. And then remember, you can drag and drop your search results once you find what you're looking for right into your assembly. Now, speaking of search, this is a relatively new capability in SOLIDWORKS. I think it was 2019 or 2020. They introduced this. So it's the ability to, kind of a redesign of the Windows Explorer interface. So if you take a look here, look right up here where I'm kind of flashing my cursor on and off, and that is now quick search, right? So if you hit Control F, it'll take you right in there, and you can type a part number, and presto, you will get your search results that quick, okay? So that's kind of neat. Now take a look at these different options. So out of the box, you're going to get, file name, description, and number. Now you can use the admin tool, or your admins can use the admin tool, and they can change that and add, more capabilities. But also notice, I'm going to search for the same thing, but I'm in a different folder. I drilled down a little bit. Let me see if I can show you that folder name here. Let me move this over like that. Okay, so you notice the folder I'm in versus the folder that the document was in. And again, that has to do with that option at the bottom there, all folders, or sorry, in the middle, right there, all folders. So you can either have it set to look from the current folder or all folders. So I really have gotten used to using the all folders. So let's just talk about those options in a little bit more detail here. So here's the options menu. And so those are the ones that you kind of get out of the box, so if you just go up there right now and click in that, you'll see, the file name or folder name, you'll see description, and a custom property or attribute called number. Now, again, you can go into the admin tool and you can change this. So, if your company has, column information or custom properties that you're using with PDM, like job number, order number, material, vendor name, things like that, you can add others in here into quick search. And I think you're limited to 5. You can have 5 variables that you can search for, okay? And then again, I just wanted to point out at the very bottom here, there's a real important switch: all variables, or the one above it, single variables. So with all variables, when you type something in, like say the number 23, it's going to look for that string in the file name, the description, and the number, okay? I think we had a question here. Let me just take a look real quick. Using 2021 before, I do not have the search icon within the SOLIDWORKS PDM. How do I display it? Well, hopefully, oh, you got it? Okay. So the person that was typing that question and just found what they were looking for. They were looking for match search term. All right. So let us keep going on here. So what I was going to show you next is, let's take a look at this. So back up in the search form, notice this. It remembers your search history, right? So I can use the arrow key up and down. I can start to type a part number, and if it's a number that I've previously searched for, I can find it in the string, as you can see right here. So there's all similar numbers. You can also clear the search history. So if it's starting to annoy you, or that similar numbers are kind of getting in your way, you can just hit clear search history. Okay. Now, when SOLIDWORKS put this quick search capability in the software, they also changed how some of the rules for search functionality. And I know this looks like a lot of gibberish, but the only thing I want you to take away from this is that there are sort of logic operators or conditional statements, Booleans. The big things are and, or not. The other thing I'd point your attention to is for numeric or date ranges, there's some operators like equal, not equal, greater than, less than or equal to, etc. Okay. And let's just see how this works. I'll show you an example here. So let's pop back over here and notice I do this. I type a part number and look at this. I get 182 hits, right? So big amount of hits. And I'm going to do an operator. It's got to be uppercase. And then I say the word cap and hit enter. And now I've got 3 items, right? So it looked in all the variables and it only found one that had that or and also the other one. And here's a date range, right? So I want to find everything older than, July 11th, 2011. Okay. So some really cool stuff that you can do. Now, those of you that have played around with the full-blown search tool in SOLIDWORKS PDM, you can go to that search tool and you can add multiple variables and logical operators like contains or does not contain. But this little quick search thing, put in a portion of a part number and then the operator and all uppercase, like you saw me do, and then a space and another, part of a description, like it's going to have the word cover in it, or it's going to have the word door or something like that. And usually just with that little bit of information, you're going to, like you saw, I went from 181 down to 3 hits. So if you got a hunch of what you're looking for, that's a really quick way to kind of narrow in on that. So that was quick search. Now, kind of sticking with the theme on searches, we're going to talk about this. This is something that a lot of customers ask for, but many more didn't know about. And it's a really kind of a hot topic. So it's creating a shortcut to a search. Okay, now there's kind of two main reasons why you'd want to do this, and here they are. Sometimes you need to run a search over and over again, but the search has lots of inputs that you're putting in. So we talked about date ranges, or we said it should be this string of numbers, but does not include this other string of information or things like that. I guess more common examples would be when you're searching for things in a certain state and things waiting, pending for your approval. Okay, that's a common one. And that's a search that you'd run over, and you come in every morning, run that search, and that's kind of your to-do list to start the day, anything pending your approval. Okay, but the second one is also maybe a little bit more popular. Sometimes having a search shortcut for very casual, non-technical users, picture people, shop floor, QA, QC, purchasing, they're not SOLIDWORKS users, they're not in engineering, they use different systems, so they're not used to PDM and they don't know the user interface real well and all that kind of stuff. And if you've brought up the full-blown search tool, there's a lot of fields and buttons and switches and things like that. So it can be really desirable to have a simplified search. So imagine this, we're just going to put a desktop icon on the desktop, and a user can just double click that icon and it'll go right into the search form. It's not going to take them into the vault and then take them into, they have to figure out where to click to start a search or anything like that, right? And then of course, you can have stored searches or different search cards so you can have a real simplified search. So some of my customers do this, again, for their shop floor folks, QA, QC, all those kind of people. They just have a simple little icon on the desktop and people can just click it, type in a part number, and away they go, right? They don't have to know all the nuances for the user interface. So let's take a look. All right, so what I'm in this install directory right here. And I'm actually, as you can see, I'm running 2021, but I did an upgrade, so put it in the 2020 folder. And then you're just gonna scroll down and you're gonna find the search.exe, okay? Now I'm gonna right mouse button and say create shortcut here, okay? So again, not a left mouse button, right mouse button. And then let's take a look at the properties. So if you look at the properties right here, we're gonna edit this target, okay? Now, let me switch back to this. Here are the different syntax and switches, right? So you're gonna edit that target, and that's got the name of the executable and the path to it. And you're basically just gonna add things like, I'm gonna add the vault name. And because some companies have more than one vault, so you declare the vault name. And then, this is kind of option when I said there were two ways or two common uses for this. It'll either be that you've got a search that you've created and saved as a favorite, or you've got a simplified search form, or a saved search card search form. So in my case, I've created a real simplified search form that's just, file name, description, and I think number, just 3 fields. So that's what I'm going to use for that. And I think I just called it simplified search. And then this switch right here hides the tree on the left that shows up in the full search form. That lets you pick different vaults and shows you all your different save searches and favorites and things like that. So like I said, we want to just simplify this. So that's why I'm using the hide tree or HT switch, okay? So this is what my syntax would actually look like, right? So you can see it's just the name of the executable. That's the shortcut I created, search.exe. And then I've got the /v. My vault that I'm using as an example here is just called vault. And then you'll notice I'm using the /s switch to declare which search card to use. Now, I've got it in quotes. You'll notice quotes in there, and that's because there's a space in the search name. So anytime you have spaces in things, you got to have quotes around it. Now, you'll notice with the /v for vault, no spaces, so I didn't need the quotes, okay? And then at the very end, the /ht for just hiding the tree, okay? So again, really simple. It's the path to the PDM install folder. That should already be in the shortcut target when you go edit it. The name of the PDM vault, the saved search name right there, and then I'm just using this switch to make the form look cleaner and simpler for the end users, okay? So let's take a look at that. So here's the target that I'm gonna edit. Now I've just got this in Notepad, so I'm just gonna copy this and I'll paste that in right there. Then I'm gonna hit apply and okay. And now we'll just double click the icon and it'll launch my search right into the search form. So it didn't take me into the vault. It didn't do, this, that, or the other thing. It just takes me right into a simplified search form where I can find what I'm looking for. If I just, somebody on the shop floor and I want to see a part number, just type it in and away you go, okay? So hopefully that'll help some of you. All right, next topic. That was the shortcut to the search. Let's talk about this expand button. So this again is something pretty new. I think this was 2020, maybe 2019, relatively new change to the user interface in PDM. Okay, so let's go take a look. So I'll get into my vault and just find something here as an example. So let's take a look at this. Okay, so check this out right here. Let me flash my cursor on and off. You see that? What that does is it kind of changes the user interface a little bit, as you can see. So I get sort of more screen real estate. Now I still can get at the data card, and I can get at the, contains and the where used, all the same things that were in the tab. It's just, it makes whatever tab you're currently looking at, say the preview here, much, much bigger. And then right there is where you change it back, right? So nothing huge and earth shaking, but it is kind of new. And I found that when I'm working with customers, a lot of people didn't know about it or hadn't used it, didn't know what it did, or we get tech support calls occasionally where somebody's hit it accidentally or inadvertently, and they're like, saying that their user interface has changed and they can't get it back and don't know how to reset it. Okay, so let's just take a little pause here and let's see if we got some questions. How are we doing on questions here? All right. So can you execute that search as well? Okay. Looks like some of these have been answered. Thanks for the assist, Mark. Are all the search modifiers in the PDM manual? Yes, they are. In the admin guide, you can also find them really, really easily instead of wading through, that super easy to navigate admin guide. You can just do a simple Google search. If you just search SOLIDWORKS PDM, search, and then switch or syntax, I think either of those will give you all that stuff. Okay. Let's see. Very cool. Good. Thank you very much. Let's see. Somebody's not seeing the quick search toolbar. They're using 2021 SP4. So for that attendee that has that question that's not seeing the quick search toolbar, are you using standard or professional? Okay, and then there was a question here, can you execute in that search as well, like changing state? Yeah, so you should be able to just, once you've narrowed down what you're looking at to what matches the search criteria, absolutely, you can right click on it and you can, check in, check out, change state. But also there's another really, really cool feature, which is the ability to right click, and in the menu, you will see navigate to in new folder. So that'll leave your search up, but it'll open up another Windows Explorer session that's drilled down into the folder that document exists at. Okay, so right click, navigate to in new, or open a new folder. I can't remember what the syntax is exactly. It's something like navigate to a new folder or open a new folder. Okay. Okay. Let's see. All right. I think we're good. So let's keep on keeping on here. So let's see, what's our next topic? That was the expand button. So next we're going to talk about branching designs. Now, this isn't brand new, but it is relatively new. So, last couple of years, SOLIDWORKS added this capability. I don't think this gets talked about enough. I don't think enough people know about it. It's super powerful. So let's take a look. Like I said, relatively new feature, comes with PDM Pro. It can be used to explore design variations. And maybe another way to think about this that's kind of outside the box, you could also think about it or use this branching capability to help with ECO effectivity dates. Now, the reason I'm saying it comes with our software, what do I mean by that? Well, I've worked with other PDM systems, and other PDM systems have this design branching and merging capability, but they charge extra for it. It's like an extra module that you have to buy and license and pay maintenance on every year and stuff. And so, you know, this is just included with PDM Professional, okay? So what does it do? Let me give you sort of a really simple overview, kind of chalkboard X's and O's of the idea, and then we'll jump in and actually I'll run you through it and show you how it works in the software. Okay. So here's the situation. You've got a part and it's in the vault. It's been around for a while. It's at Rev B. Current Rev is B. And you're having a design review meeting and you're like, we need to make some changes, but I don't know what the right or correct change is. And I want to kind of brainstorm on this with my coworkers. And we want to work concurrently. So what you can do is you can run the command that I'm showing you right here. It's under the tools pulled down in the vault, and you can say branch. And each branch gets a name like iteration 1, iteration 2, or iteration 3. Now, also, if you've got the switch turned on in your vault to disallow or not allow duplicate file names, each one of these iterations actually gets so the branch gets a unique name, and then each CAD model gets a unique name. And I'll show you how you do that. It's really easy in just a second, okay? All right, so you know, you create these 3 branches, and all the 3 branches, all the iterations actually look like Rev B to begin with, but now you can modify these all independently. You know, rectangular hole, an oval slot, 2 independent holes, etc. And different people can have each of these parts checked out. So you could have user 1, user 2, and user 3 working on each of these iterations, okay? And so at some point in time, you're gonna get back together, you're gonna have a design review meeting, and you're gonna pick a winner. You're gonna all agree that, yep, you know, iteration 1 is the one that we like, and you'll click on that one and you'll run the merge command, and that will then become the new, you know, live version, okay? All right, so let's take a look and see what this looks like. Okay, so I've got a part in here. I'll just show you what it looks like. Here's the preview. Okay, so I've got 2 branches already. I've got bracket concept 1 and bracket concept 2. And so I'm just gonna say branch, and you'll notice the form here looks very much like copy tree, right? So let's call this new one bracket concept -3, very creative, I know. And let's add a suffix. Now this is actually going to change the name of the CAD model. So I just always call my branch, my BRs, you know, BR 1, 2, and 3, and we'll go ahead and hit branch, okay? And now when we pop back into the window, do a little refresh, you can see, you know, there's my original part. And you can see I've got my 3 branches and my 3 parts, BR1, BR2, and BR3. And again, they all look identical at this point, but let's go ahead and open them up. And we'll make some changes here real quick. So this is kind of a dumb solid, so let's just delete a face. And we'll do the same thing over here. Delete a face. And then we'll create some new geometry on this iteration. Again, look at the active part number at the top. This is BR3. Okay, so let's do an extrude cut. We'll say through all like that, and okay. Save, and let's close this down, and we're back here, okay? So look at branch 3, and then right-click, merge, okay? And now if we go look at the original one, that's not a BR 1, 2, or 3, we can see that one has become our chosen candidate, okay? So that's branching and merging. Now, this was just a single piece part. I think, people kind of wonder why the form for this, if they just try it on a single piece part, looks like the copy tree. Well, sometimes people are doing this on an assembly. They're taking a small subassembly and they're going to iterate. That could be swapping out parts or making physical changes. And so that's why that add prefix, add suffix is nice, because you can take a whole little subassembly, create a branch, and then all the components can be, or the components you want to change can be, all given the suffix of BR1, BR2, depending on how many branches that you want, okay? All right, good stuff. All right, let's keep going on here. That was branching design. So the other thing I wanted to cover with you all is these are kind of non-PDM commands, but they have PDM tie-ins or PDM functionality kind of related to PDM. So first one we're going to talk about is this assembly visualization. So hopefully all of you listening in know about this command. This is a super fantastic command in the software. So it's under the evaluate tab, and it's right there. There's the icon, and you can sort of graphically sort all of your parts. Let's change this to material by any custom property. So it could be vendor name, could be material. You can say group identical. So now all the parts, with the same material are the same color, right? It's just, we're all visual creatures. And so being able to visualize your assembly in terms of things like material and things like that are fantastic. Again, any custom property, right? But this is where it gets cool. So if you scroll down here, go down alphabetically, let's find the letter S for state, okay? Now we're sorting by workflow state. Okay, so you look at my workflow, my add-in over here. So I've got approved and work in progress. And you can again color code, right? So I can see graphically what parts are approved, what parts are pending approval. I'm not crazy about the color schemes. Let's reset that and get it off. Check this out though. Grab the little slider and say, hey, I don't care about anything work in process, and I don't care about everything that's approved. I just want to see what's pending approval. Now this is cool. You pick the part, you go right over here. Oh, look at this. Make that a little bigger. Slide that over a little bit. Oh, look, none of my coworkers have this checked out. No one's looking at it. So maybe we need to pick up the phone and call somebody or something like that. So you can see very, very quickly, you can sort of graphically sort your assembly by workflow state. Now, the only caveat to what I just showed you is you have to have the workflow state being written as a custom property to the part. And that's not hard to do. It just your particular PDM implementation may not be set up that way. So that's the only caveat to that little example. Okay, next, let's take a look. That was assembly visualization. Let's take a look at compare. Again, not a new command, been around for a really, really long time, but pretty cool. So if you look right here, let's go zoom in on this, and then we're going to run the compare command. And, there's the part, but this is where the PDM tie-in is. Look right here. I can actually go get a previous version or revision out of the vault. How cool is that? So we can compare the current version with Rev A, run the comparison, say I want to check geometry. and it'll crunch away here and do its thing. And first I'm going to get this nice text-based form that has, you know, volumes and surface areas and all that kind of stuff. And then I can graphically see, you know, which faces have changed, what are unique faces between the parts, or if we go back to the volume display, I can see volumes that have been added or volumes material that's been removed, you know, between the two versions, okay? And you'll notice when I do a rotate, they're always in sync. So you're looking at the sort of the same area on the part. So very, very cool. Again, the compare command has been around for a long time, but you can do really cool stuff. Like if you can hit save, you can get a report. You can keep these different volumes and the colorization of them, so that you can go look at things in more detail. This is a super handy command. If something, you know, if a whole diameter changes by 1/1000th of an inch, you're not going to see it with your naked eye. You really need the system to kind of color code that face and let you know where the changes happened. Okay. All right. So that was PDM tips and tricks. Let me just check the questions here real quick. Let's see how we're doing. Looks like we got some questions on branching. Does the branch command work with assemblies? Yep, it sure does. As I mentioned, what happens to the files that are linked when you branch? They're still in the vault. They're still there. They don't automatically get deleted unless you know, after you've picked a winner. You can get rid of them, but you don't have to. But they're still in the vault. Can the branches have different revisions from the original? Yeah. So each individual iteration can go through its own workflow. And that's the example that I meant to talk about maybe a little bit more in regards to how you could use this for ECOs. So if you think about it, if a part was undergoing an ECO, you could make one branch. You wouldn't have to make multiples in like the example I showed you. You make one branch, you perform the ECO on that one branch, and it can go through a workflow. Have a minor revision or maybe a numeric and not an alphabetic. And then you're done. Engineering can be done with the work involved with the ECO, right? But because of ERP systems and PLM systems and effectivity dates, you know, they may want to use, you know, the stock disposition. They may want to use up the parts they already have in stock before they start making the new one, or, you know, things like that. So you just leave it sit as is until the rest of the bigger organization is ready to affect that change, and then you do the merge, right? So then that one at that future date becomes Rev B. So hopefully that answered your question. Can you delete all the branch files after you merge? Yes, you can. You can clean up after yourself. Does each branch item get checked in and checked out like a normal part? Absolutely, yeah. They all are just regular parts. They can be checked in and out, go through workflows, all that kind of stuff. What happens if you delete the branches after merging? Nothing. You're fine as long as you've merged. So, you know, and if you deleted them before you merged, you could always just create another branch to get that back. So, good questions, folks. Let's see. Can we run the compare command on assemblies? Yes, you sure can. Drawings, parts, or assemblies, the compare command works. Now, you don't get some of the same options like I was showing you, but you know, depending on the kind of document you're comparing, but yes, that compare command does work on different types of objects. Let's see. Next question, off topic, but PDM based. If using an add-in such as pipe routing that has been added into PDM, how do you keep upgrades from changing the reference location on each computer? Ooh, geez, that's a big topic. There are ways to do that, but we're already running a little long, so rather than getting into a big diatribe, for the user or the attendee that has that question, you know, feel free to just reply to the email that sent you the link to the webinar, and one of us will, you know, get back to you, or you could even call our support line with that, and we can give you some tips and tricks on how that works. Okay. So our next topic is something you've probably never heard of. It's brand new. It's called GoExpress. And what is it? So some of you may know that GoEngineer recently acquired a company called AlignX. And AlignX was a reseller in the Midwest. And they had a tool called Align Express, and it was basically an automation framework. So like many resellers, AlignX had been doing SolidWorks and PDM for decades and decades, had been implementing PDM, and even before SolidWorks, they worked with other PDM systems, and so they had learned over time that many customers had the same requests over and over and over again, similar functionality. And so rather than writing custom code for customer A, and then a couple months later writing very similar but different custom code for customer B, and then having to try to keep that all straight and maintain it going forward, everything gets put into this automation framework, okay? And then it's basically a toolkit that you can turn on and off functionality. So it's configurable, and you can add new things to it. It's designed specifically to work with and in SolidWorks PDM Professional and SolidWorks, and it contains, functions to address common business issues. So here they are. So a lot of these are sort of, if you've implemented PDM or at your company you got PDM, but you'd already had SolidWorks for 5 or 10 years and you had lots of data, it's a lot of tools for helping companies migrate or bulk load stuff into the vault initially, but also lots of stuff that originally PDM didn't have, functionality it didn't have, and things like that. I think the one that you could all identify with is the second bullet point, job packet creation or batch printing. So that's a capability. You can right click on a top level assembly and say, give me job packets, and it'll, go down through the hierarchy, find all the parts and subassemblies that have approved drawings, and then create one multi-page PDF that is that job packet that you can give to the shop, okay? So that's a request that we got over and over and over again, and every company has a little bit different flavor or a little bit different way they want it handled, but that's something that's built into GoExpress. The other thing that a lot of people have asked for is a real simple capability to get reports. So Go Reports is going to be built into GoExpress, and it's configurable. So you can pick on a top level folder and you can see information about all the documents under that one folder. You can, here's a little bit deeper dive under the engineering folder. So you can see files checked out by user and files in different workflow states. So yeah, it's just a real simple, cool visual reporting tool. And again, this is configurable. So these are just simple examples. You can see, average minutes or days to complete an engineering change. Not a lot of data under this folder, so you can see it's almost instantaneous to create these ECs. Okay, so that's GoExpress, dashboards, and more. Now, if you're watching this and you're thinking, gosh, I'd like to create that shortcut on my desktop, but I'm not the admin guy, or I went to the admin class, but we've been up and running for a couple of years, and I'm super busy with design work, and or we'd like to upgrade to the latest version, but we've got a big project going on right now, and just nobody has time to go through all the stuff. We as a company, GoEngineer, have been hearing this more and more from our customers. People are really super busy. They're strapped for time. So we provide those managed administrative services for your SolidWorks CAD, your PDM, or SolidWorks Manage. So just common things that people ask for, it's like we're an employee just working remote, right? So we can log in and add and remove users, update permissions. We can update or create workflows based on, changing requirements at your business. Create, update file templates to do things like watermarking or other cool stuff, client installations, uh, things like that. So, and just software upgrades. You want to go to a service pack because it fixes some issues you've been having, but nobody's got the time to do it. We can do it. So, it's very efficient, optimizing your resources, um, reduces your IT costs and workload. Um, Pretty straightforward to set up. You basically it's an annual contract that you have with GoEngineer, and then our sort of group of experts who do this day in and day out, every day, can do that stuff really quickly and efficiently. So we've helped thousands of customers implement their data management tools all across North America, for more than 10 years, and we've provided configuration and business process guidance that positions us to best handle the ongoing maintenance of your data management and CAD environments, okay? So just a couple of prerequisites. The people, our employees that are going to perform the work have to have local admin credentials and remote server access. It's got to be an existing environment, right? It's not an initial configuration or implementation. That's kind of a different ballgame. And of course, you should all have well-defined backup and recovery strategies. So really excited about this. We have a lot of our customers taking advantage of it. And the interesting thing is it's across a sort of a spectrum of customers. So it's not just really, really big customers, and it's not just small onesie twosie shops. It's all, across the whole profile of all of our customers are taking advantage of this. So been very successful. And again, if you have questions about this, just talk to your GoE rep or send an email to the email that sent you the invite to the webinar to get more information. Okay, now our next topic is SOLIDWORKS Manage, and this is a huge topic. We could spend easily a 2-hour webinar just on this, but I wanted to introduce it because I found as I've been working with customers that a lot of people don't even know about SOLIDWORKS Manage. They haven't heard of it, they haven't seen it, and it's a really significant addition to the SOLIDWORKS family of products, and it is intimately linked with and involved with PDM, as you'll see. So what the heck is it? So, file management, what we do with PDM every day is document management, right? So, all the things that we do, check in, check out, change state, move through workflow, everything is performed on a document, right? So it's a SOLIDWORKS file or an assembly or a drawing or groups of files, but it's document management in the sense that there's already documents existing and we're just kind of moving them through workflow or creating them and adding them to the vault and putting them in workflow, okay? But it's basically file management. So SOLIDWORKS Manage adds a whole new capability. So process management, project management, really advanced, cool BOM capabilities, and then dashboards and reports as well, but different than what I was showing you earlier with Go Reports. Okay, so let's take a look and see what this is all about. Okay, so first, just take a look here. And you'll notice I'm in my vault, got into my vault. Just move this, let me give myself a little screen real estate here. And if I select something, you'll notice I have a new tab right here that's called SOLIDWORKS Manage, okay? And then I can start Manage as its own application as well. So it's built into PDM, but it also runs as its own application. So through the Manage, I can drill down and find the same document And I'll just use the search here real quick. So just to show you what the search looks like. So right there. So I'll put in a search term and do search. And sure enough, there's kind of the same thing. And there we go. So you can run it as its own application. And I'm showing you some process stuff. We'll talk about process in just a second. But you can either access management functionality right through the PDM interface. There's a new tab, as you saw, or you can run it sort of in its own window. So let's take a look at the four main things, four main capabilities that Manage adds to PDM. So first one we're going to talk about is process management. Okay, so why is this different? Well, process management is very different because in a process, when a process kicks off, sometimes there are no documents yet, right? So people have to be notified, they have to be assigned tasks, maybe documents have to be created. But you see the difference, right? There are no documents yet, but there is a process that has to be followed. So think of it like workflow in PDM, except there's no documents yet. It just involves actions, tasks, and people. What are some common examples of that? Well, let's take a look at one right here. So I'm going to go and do this. It's the NPI, new product introduction. So we haven't even drawn a single CAD part yet, but we can go in here and say, hey, I'm going to create this new project for this new product introduction. So let me just fill all this stuff out real quick. And then it's already created a task. So we can mark that task as complete, and then we can go on to the next stage. So that's how we're kind of moving through workflow, right? And there's my new task, okay? And so related objects, so I can attach documents. Let's go to this record, and there we can see my new product introduction process. And these can be checked in and checked out, kind of like objects and documents in PDM. Let's say that we're gonna fill out some more information here. So what client are we doing this for? Estimated number of hours, capital cost, things like that. If I just hit save here, this will update. Let me click save. And then we'll get an estimated cost. All right. Now, tied into this is project management. So one of the questions we commonly get when we're talking to customers about implementing PDM, especially PDM Professional, is project management. So most companies are using Microsoft Project, or they're using, Gantt charts, or some other tool to get Gantt charts, or sometimes just Excel, and they're trying to manage their projects through means like that. And the problem with all of that is none of it is integrated or linked to the actual process or documents involved with the project, okay? So they're completely disjointed. So in our project management, if you look right here, let's just go and say, here's our new project. Let's pick a start date. And there's different templates. And we'll pick the my template and take a look right here. So we can go in using, even if we're using a template, we can go in and make changes to the verbiage in the Gantt chart. And if the template doesn't include something we need to do, we can just add a new line item. And then I can use these nice tools to, if I've set the date in the future, you might have to scroll over on the calendar so you can see it. Then I can use these nice tools like move up and indent. And if I want to make a parent-child relationship, like check out right there at the end, now I'm going to add a parent-child relationship by giving it this dependency right here. And now you can see if I move one, the child is going to move out. And then if we want to check critical path, we can do that as well. So right here is critical path. So that's project management. You notice it's all in the same tool, and I've got access to, tasks that need to be assigned. So let's go assign some tasks. Assign these to users. So we need to create some CAD models. So we'll assign that to Jeremy. And maybe tech pubs will assign to somebody else. And here we go. So pretty cool stuff. And you can see the status of tasks. It's all kind of live data. And you can see progress. Users can book time against tasks, right? So how many hours did they have into that task? So you can see this is a much more comprehensive tool than what we had with just PDM, okay, for process and project management. I think those of you watching though, the thing that people are, I think, the most excited about with Manage is this capability, the advanced BOM capability. So let's take a look at our BOM stuff. So we go over to the BOM interface, and of course, we're going to always start with, you can see I've got a task that's been assigned. I've got to add some commodity items, thread lock, and some wire of a certain gauge. So let's just go ahead and check out the BOM. And here's the BOM. We're going to start with the CAD BOM, but we're going to go into our library. And again, every company is a little different. This is configurable, right? So we'll show pictures, and we'll go into our commodity library. And here's my Loctite thread lock. So we're going to add one of those. And then we add this 16 gauge wire. Now check this out. You can put in a quantity, right? Because it's per foot, and I needed 3 feet. So add that. So we can see those have been added right there. And you notice they're not CAD items, right? They're just records in the database. And then of course we can check this all in and typed in this stuff and say check in. And that's been added to the bill of material. Okay, now here's another capability I call BOM variants. So let's say that you had a finished BOM and your company sells not only in the US, you sell in the EU and Canada, okay? So I've got stuff like, cardboard box, bubble wrap, installation instructions, in addition to the actual product, right? It's the complete BOM. So I can say I want to create a new BOM based on the US one. We're going to create a new EU BOM, right? And then because it's the EU, let's just zoom in. I'm going to use a search filter for motor. So let's type motor here, and then drag this over a little bit. We're going to look at the supplier, and in Europe, we need to use a different supplier for that motor, okay? So that's kind of cool. And we'll clear the filter so we can see the whole BOM again. And now, again, cardboard boxes are different in Europe. So we'll use a little search filter here, PK for packaging. And here's our cardboard box. This is the different size we need to use. Darn EU, they're always messing with us, right? And again, pick a different supplier for that box. We'll pick Uline and the bubble wrap, okay? So here's our EU variant BOM. So we've got a US, an EU, and a Canadian one. So effectivity dates, this is what we were talking about. This is really cool. So what date does that change go into effect? And then, of course, because we have BOM variants now, we can compare them, right? This is a graphical compare tool for the two BOMs. Let this pick one here and say compare. So you notice the little color code, new, modified, or deleted are the different colors. And of course, you can save this out as an Excel file. I don't know why you'd ever want to do that, but because you got it right here at your fingertips, but people love their Excel files, so we can do that. And let's open that up and see what that looks like. All right, so you can see you've got tabs for the EU and the US, and then you've got them both together with the color coding. So very cool. So advanced BOM manipulation is, again, a big feature of Manage that that people love. Last but not least, real quickly, I know we're a couple minutes overboard here on our time, but let's look at dashboard reports. So I showed you a sneak peek at the Go reports, and that's a simple reporting tool that gives you some dashboards. I guess the difference here in the dashboards inside of Manage is these dashboards are sort of interactive. So you can use them as a way to find data, okay? So what, documents are in what stage, they're all basically filters here. So, as I start to pick and click on these, let's say, documents in that state, you'll notice the other ones are in high technical feasibility. You'll notice those are updating, and I can clear those by just hitting the little filter thing right here. Checked out ECRs by date, that's a date range, so I can scroll back in time and see, just selected ones based on date. So which ECRs are closed, and then I can see, engineering activity by region on a map, right? So you can see how many ECRs are being created. So that's what I mean by these are interactive, right? And then of course, any kind of tasks, or in this case, ECRs that haven't been grabbed yet, are going to show up in this list as well, okay? The big thing I want you all to sort of take away from all of this is that Manage is configurable. These are just some suggested dashboards, or the commodities library that had wire and Loctite. Again, those are just all configurable. Every company's a little different, but Manage is always implemented to suit your business needs. It's not sort of a one size fits all. Okay. All right. That is the end of our slideshow. Let's check out our questions and see if we've got any other questions we need to talk about. So give me a second to pull this up. Okay, if you already have a Line Express, what do we need to do to get Go Express? You need to just be patient. So our guys are in the process of sort of, we've only been on board or acquired for I think 5 months now. So just give us a little time, and the next sort of major release of Go Express, we hope to have that built in. Okay. Can ETH activity dates be used in a workflow to give the files the database stamp when releasing a revision? With Manage, yes. That's one of the features or functions of Manage. Let's see, what else? Can you delete all the branched? Sorry, give me a second here. Is there a way to automatically send an email out when something changes from WIP to release? Yes, that is a feature just in basic PDM, SOLIDWORKS PDM. Let me say that differently. PDM Professional, you don't need Manage to do that. But as documents go through workflow state change, in other words, they're transitioning from one state to another pending approval to released, yes, you can create third-party documents like PDF, DXF, STEP, things like that. You can also send out emails that notify, the affected parties, either individual users or groups. Okay. Let's see. How much does Go Express cost? I'm not in sales, so just talk to your Go rep or send an email to the address that sent you the invite and somebody will contact you with that information. What other questions? Is there a webinar or video with a more in-depth discussion of SOLIDWORKS Manage? Yeah, so you can either check out our YouTube channels. There's lots of information on it on the GoE YouTube channel, or you can just request a presentation, for your company, and rather than like a webinar. But if you want to just learn more about it, check out the GoE YouTube channel. There's tons of information on there. Let's see. Go Express, is it an add-on? Yes. Does it work with 2019? Yes. Is there a cost? Yes. So yes to all of those. When is Go Express available? Like I said, a lot of folks, or some of the folks listening in might already have a Line Express. Go Express will be available at the, probably the next major release. Let's see. I think that's all of our questions. So again, we went a couple minutes long, so that's great because we had lots of Q&A. Thanks everybody for your attendance today. And again, if you have any other questions that you think of after the webinar ends, just feel free to email us with the email address that sent you the invite for the webinar. All right, folks, thanks very much.